Are you still on dating apps in 2026? Walk with me for a minute and let's take a real look at what's going on. Today I want to break down why dating apps no longer work for the vast majority of men, unless you happen to fall into the top 5%. And I'm not talking about feelings or opinions. I'm talking about how the system itself now operates. First, I'm not saying that no man outside the top 5% will ever meet someone on a dating app. You might get lucky, and if you do, honestly, good for you. But the odds today are heavily stacked against most men, and that's the part I want to be very clear about. Back in the day, dating apps actually worked for regular guys. You didn't need some elite profile. You put up a few decent pictures, wrote a normal description, and that was it. You sent messages. Women responded. Not every time, but the numbers made sense. Women also took the time to send messages first. It was a two-way street. They were putting in effort too, and that's how it should be. But sometime around the end of 2018, I started noticing a sharp decline. Fewer likes, fewer profile views, almost no responses, and almost no women reaching out first. At first I thought it was just me, but then something strange started happening. I could go an entire month where every woman I swiped on or sent a message to simply didn't respond. Not one. Across multiple apps. You already know which ones I'm talking about. That's when the dating world started its steep decline. The companies behind these apps changed the rules of the game. They rebuilt the system to heavily favor women and to quietly filter out most men. In other words, the game became rigged, and it was designed to affect men who don't fall into that top 5%. Let's get into how. Let's start with something most men don't even realize exists: shadow banning. Yes, it happens on dating apps. Here's how it works. If your profile isn't getting immediate traction, swipes, likes, and visits, your profile quietly gets pushed into a low visibility pool. You can still see your own profile. You can still edit your pictures and rewrite your bio. But the difference is this: your profile stops being shown to women. You become invisible. That's the rigged part. This explains exactly what I experienced when my matches suddenly stopped. No replies, no new conversations, nothing, for an entire month. At the time, I was asking myself, what am I doing wrong? Why are women suddenly avoiding me? I'll be honest, at first it hit my confidence. Dating apps run on algorithms, and those algorithms are built around how you fill out your profile. Your personal data matters: height, weight, race, but the most heavily weighted traits quickly became height, income, education. Those became the big three, and the algorithm uses those traits to decide who gets visibility and who quietly gets pushed out, which leads right back to shadow banning. Over time, this created a very specific type of man that gets promoted to the top. 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, 6-pack abs. We'll talk more about that in the next section, so stay with me. Dating apps helped create a culture that empowered women in all the wrong ways, a culture of arrogance and entitlement that I had never seen before. Women who would normally be considered average, maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10, suddenly behaved as if they were models, only wanting men who were 9s and 10s. Now don't get me wrong, self-esteem and confidence are healthy, but this wasn't confidence. This was self-delusion. Women weren't looking for a partner anymore. They were shopping for a fantasy profile of a man they believed they deserved. You feel me? So who actually makes up this so-called top 5% of men? You've probably heard the names before: Chad, Tyrone, Rico. And lately you even hear the term Giga Chad. Apparently this guy is nearly 7 feet tall, has an 8-pack, makes insane money, and drives a Hellcat to make his grocery store runs. At this point, he sounds like a superhero. Superman meets Shaft. Yeah, I'm talking Richard Roundtree Shaft. But here's the real problem. The vast majority of women on these apps are chasing the same small group of men, not just preferring them, competing for them. And these are the exact men the apps push to the front of the line. They get featured, they get boosted, they get constant exposure. Meanwhile, men who fall into the normal range are either shadow banned or barely shown at all. So how you fill out your profile directly determines your odds before you ever send a single message. Let's talk about paid memberships. I paid for one once. And for what? Paying doesn't suddenly make women more interested in you. All a paid membership really does is promise to show your profile a little more often or place it higher in the stack for a short time. Some apps also let you see who viewed your profile. That's it. It's a bad business model, and for most men, it's a waste of money. A lot of guys pay because they think it will finally tilt the odds in their favor. It doesn't, so do yourself a favor and hold on to your money. Another dirty trick these companies use is artificial engagement. In some cases, employees or automated systems generate likes, views, or interactions. The goal is simple: keep you logging back in, keep you chasing the next dopamine hit. In other cases, you can only see who liked you if you pay. It's all built around the same hook. They'll even use messages to keep you engaged and emotionally invested in the platform. Just another way the game stays rigged. This system created a very predictable outcome. Women began developing unrealistic expectations. Suddenly, I'm reading profiles that say things like, accepting applications, men with beards to the front of the line, don't message me if you're this, don't message me if you're that. Another clear sign of decline was the way conversations changed. It started to feel like women stopped putting in any real effort. And it takes two, man. Always. If effort isn't coming from both sides, even during the early courting stage, you're setting yourself up for an imbalance. One person putting in all the work while the other one just receives. That kind of situation leads to dysfunction. If you still insist on using dating apps, treat this as a red flag. If you're sending messages, really trying to carry a meaningful conversation, throwing down your game, and all you're getting back is yes, no, laugh out loud, be right back, you need to move on, smash that block, because in a lot of cases, she only wants you for validation. Another sign is when she puts in almost no effort to build conversation and you're always the one initiating. That gets old and tiring fast. Social media played a huge role in creating this environment too, but that's a whole different topic for another video. Another major problem is fake profiles, bots, and outright scammers. I don't know about you, but I was trying to talk to a real person, not a damn chatbot. It became obvious when the replies didn't line up with what I was actually saying. They were generic, disconnected, off. So I started looking into it and found out how widespread this really is. Then you've got fake profiles created by people who never plan on meeting anyone. They're running a different kind of game, and I have no interest in playing it. And finally, you've got full-blown scammers. One pattern I noticed was this. I'd ask for her number so we could take the conversation off the app and actually move things forward. I'd get the number, we'd start texting, then I'd get short replies, and eventually, nothing. Ghosted. A lot of men got played exactly like this. And here's something most people don't think about. Telemarketing is $1 billion a year business. Getting real qualified phone numbers is the hard part. Fake dating profiles are an easy way to get real numbers from real men. The biggest clue for me? Suddenly I started getting all these spam calls and spam texts. At the end of the day, you're a grown man. You make your own choices, do your own research, figure out for yourself whether you want to use or keep using these apps. But for me, and based on what I've seen and experienced, when the game is rigged, kings don't play. We walk away. Leave a comment and share some of your own experiences with dating apps. And if you found this helpful, consider hitting like and subscribing. In 2026, men need to start empowering themselves in a healthy way. And part of that is knowledge. Knowledge is power. The more you understand the systems around you, the better equipped you are to deal with the times we're living in now.